The Final Draft by Richard Autry. Prologue. The library at the end of thought. In the space between the last word ever written and the first word never spoken, there exists a room. It is not a room in the architectural sense. No walls constrain it, no ceiling caps it, no floor grounds it. Yet it has the feeling of an enclosure, the psychic weight of boundaries. The air, if it can be called air, tastes of copper and old paper, with an undertone of something electric, the smell of ozone, the sense of something waiting. In this non-place, consciousness arrived like rain. 7 of them, 7 lost souls, all of them trapped somewhere in that space between the first draft and the final manuscript. 7 dreamers, adrift within their own waking dreams. 7 creators of worlds now trapped in a new world not of their own creation. Slowly and hesitantly, they each became aware of their own existence. They each began to awaken. Part I. Awakening. Chapter 1. The First Breath. Mary Wollstonecraft Shelley opened her eyes to gray. Not the gray of London fog, which had texture and weight and the promise of gaslight cutting through it. Not the gray of storm clouds over Lake Geneva, pregnant with the electricity that had sparked her greatest creation. This was a gray without dimension, without source, without meaning. The air did not taste like air. It tasted of dry cedar and the metallic tang of a fresh typewriter ribbon. She expected the cold dampness of the afterlife or the quiet dark of the tomb. Instead, she found herself lying on a floor of pure, blinding white. It wasn't stone or wood. It was flat, matte, and stretched infinitely in every direction. She sat up, or thought she did. The concept of up seemed negotiable here. Hello? Her voice fell flat, absorbed instantly by the oppressive nothing. No echo, no response, just the sound dying the moment it left her lips. She looked down at her hands. They were her hands, certainly slim fingers, a small scar on her left thumb from a childhood accident with a letter opener. She wore a dress she recognized, dark blue with intricate embroidery at the cuffs, real, solid. There, everything else was absence. Mary stood, her boots finding purchase on something that wasn't quite ground. The surface beneath her feet had the suggestion of solidity without any actual properties. It didn't echo when she walked. It had no color, no temperature. She took 3 steps forward and stopped. Shapes were slowly emerging from the gray. "Victor," she whispered, her voice sounding unnaturally crisp, as if it had been edited for clarity. "He isn't here, madam. I suspect none of our creations are. Not yet." A man sat a few yards away, cross-legged, polishing a pair of thick-rimmed glasses with the hem of a modern-looking suit jacket. Isaac Asimov looked at her with a clinical curiosity. "I've been awake for approximately 3 minutes. In that time, I have calculated that the horizon line is exactly 0. There is no curvature. Ergo, we are not on a planet." Before Mary could respond, a hacking cough erupted from the whiteness. Edgar Allan Poe scrambled to his feet, clutching a phantom cloak to his chest. His eyes were darting, rimmed with red. "The pendulum," he wheezed. "The walls. They have retreated too far. This is a new torture." "Shut up, Edgar," a booming voice commanded. Robert E. Howard stood like a bronze statue further down the plain, his fists clenched. Beside him, Jack London was kneeling, pressing his ear to the white floor. "There's no heartbeat in the ground," London muttered, looking up with a wild, frustrated hunger. "No wind, no North Star. It's a deadfall, boys. We're trapped in a box with no sides." H.P. Lovecraft was the only one who hadn't moved. He lay curled in a fetal position, staring at the sky if it could be called that. The sky was the same flat white as the ground. "It is the ultimate void," he whimpered. "The white silence of the outer gods." "It's not a void," a younger, warmer voice interrupted. Ray Bradbury walked toward the center of the group, his face filled with a terrifying sort of wonder. He pointed upward. "Look at the clouds. They aren't moving with the wind. They're moving in lines." They all looked up. High above, faint gray shapes were drifting from right to left. They weren't clouds. They were letters. Massive, translucent, seraphed lets. Where is this benighted place? Poe pushed himself to his knees, then to his feet. He was slight, with a high forehead and a mustache that gave him a perpetually melancholic air. His eyes, when they focused on Mary, were dark and haunted. "Madam," he said, executing a small bow despite his evident disorientation. "Edgar Allan Poe, at your service, though I confess I cannot say where here might be to offer you my service toward." "Mary Shelley," she replied, studying him. She knew the name, of course. She'd read The Fall of the House of Usher and found it deliciously unsettling. "You died, Mr. Poe." "I am aware of my death, madam. October 7th, 1849. The details are unpleasant. But this does not feel like any Christian afterlife I was taught to expect. Nor does it feel like the oblivion I came to suspect." "I died as well," Mary said quietly. "February 1st, 1851. A brain tumor, they said. The pain was considerable." She paused, touching her temple. "No pain now." "I remember dying. I remember the darkness that followed. And then I remember this." Poe's eyes narrowed. He turned slowly, taking in the featureless expanse. "Purgatory, perhaps, though I see no evidence of divine architecture. No circles of suffering, no rivers of fire." "Something is happening," Mary said, pointing. The gray was coalescing, forming ominous shapes, materializing, as if being drawn by an invisible hand. Jack London stood up. He was a tall man, with a barrel chest and a face that suggested both violence and intelligence. He wore rough clothing, boots, canvas pants, a